Yes, we're back again, Bert and I, with another episode of Travels with Bert. I think by now you can figure out which one's Bert and which one's me. So this episode really should be called A Tale of Two Temples, even though it only has one name. It's called Wat Don Sak. But that's its new name. If you were here 7 or 8 years ago, as I was, the only temple here was the one behind me, this one. And that at that time was called Wat Don Sak, or something similar. Roughly that means a temple with a cave where you can hide things. And people did hide things. And I guess you could still hide things, as the cave is still there. It's roughly up the hill there somewhere. And if I have enough energy left at the end, we'll go up the gazillion steps and see what's up there. Meanwhile, let's talk about the building behind me. One website says that it was founded in a quote approximately 1507. I can't believe that that building is that old, so maybe it's not the original, but it's still quite old. So let me grab the camera off the tripod and we'll go take a look. Well, it looks like it's not our lucky day because the temple is locked, so I can't show you the inside. Except I was here a couple of weeks ago and I did take a very short snippet of video, which I can show you now. And for some reason I turned the camera through 90 degrees and managed to get it in portrait mode. I think I had a senile moment there. So you can see it's quite nice. It's not spectacular, but it's quite pleasant inside. That does give me a chance to talk about a feature of Thai temple. If you look down at the bottom of the doors, you can see there's a threshold. And I'm choosing my words carefully, as I'm quite skeptical of anything that sounds like the paranormal, but it's believed the temple has lots of good spirits. Unfortunately, none of those is named Johnny Walker, nor his buddy Glenn. What's his name? Glenn Fiddick. Yeah, that's the fellow. It's the other kind of temple. And somehow the threshold keeps these good spirits inside and presumably keeps the bad spirits outside. It's probably best not to ask how it does that, but it does. So for this reason, it's something to remember if you do visit a Thai temple. It's a very bad thing to step on the threshold. Always step over it. And supposedly, if you step on the threshold, you'll let the good spirits out and probably the bad spirits in. Okay, so we've seen this part. As I said to you, it's a temple of two parts, and the other part is completely different. Now, we only need to go a couple of 100 meters that way. Or is it that way? Yeah, that way. So we could walk, but this is called Travels with Bert, so let's travel with Bert. Now, did I say this part was totally different? Was I lying? It looks completely different than the old temple over there. But something strange has happened here, and I really can't figure what. I came here about 3 or 4 years ago to get some aerial footage. And I came at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning. And it was not a public holiday, and I figured the place would be absolutely deserted. And I figured it would look like it does now. But I was wrong. There were at least 50 buses and 100 cars and passenger vans and about 1,000 people milling around all over the place. Now, it's not safe to fly a drone over that many people, nor sensible, so I just went home. And I came the next day at about 8 a.m. and it was just starting to come alive. The buses were just arriving and there were a few people down there, but it was safe to fly. And right now it's, it's almost 10 o'clock and the place is totally deserted. There's just, I can see one vehicle down there and there was one there, but that's gone. And I think I'm just certainly the only tourist here. And I can't figure what happened. So maybe somebody stepped on the threshold there and let all the bad spirits out. Or not. Let's have a quick look around before I say anything else. And as you can see, the big guy at the back there is covered in scaffolding. And luckily I have some video that shows him without his scaffolding. Right now, I think it looks more like an amusement park than a religious area. I mean, you can bring the kids, you can buy fish food over there and throw it in the lake, and you can wash the fish. No, you don't want to wash the fish. You can watch the fish trying to kill each other to reach the food. And then there's other areas that are perfect for Instagram photographs. And there's the recently completed Guan Yin statue, or Goddess of Mercy, as she's sometimes called. And of course, you can't miss that big guy at the back. And you can walk around the whole area, but there's no information on who he is or why he's there. So I Googled and schmoogled, and I found other temples that had big guys like that, and eventually I discovered exactly who he was. So yeah, I'm looking at these pictures of statues of monks like that, and I thought, wait a minute, that's the same guy, has the same look on his face, must be the same one. Now if you're Thai, you'll probably look at him and you say, yes, that's Luang Por Tuat, better known as LP Tuat, because he's famous throughout southern Thailand. And eventually I found so much information about him that I could probably talk for about an hour, but it's okay, I won't. So the very short version of the story is that he was born around 1600, and he's famous for saving people from snakes. He's also famous for having his face on amulets, which people pay a stunning amount of money to buy, and then they wear them around their necks in the belief that they're protected from all manner of evils. Me, I just wear a cheap microphone which protects me from absolutely nothing. So what about this cave that I promised you? Well, it's just a few hundred meters over there, so let's jump in, Bert, and get a bit closer. Okay, so the cave is up there. It doesn't look like there's quite as many steps as I remembered, not quite a gazillion anyways. And I'm not sure what that boat is doing there. I guess it's another Instagram thingy. But before we head up there, I need to tell you the story of why people decided to hide things in there. We're going back a long way, 1760 something, and the Burmese army had a nasty habit of invading what was then the Ayutthaya kingdom, which this is just about the bottom of where the kingdom was. And as they invaded, they basically took away anything that looked like it was useful and set fire to anything that didn't look useful. And they also kind of destroyed whole towns and cities as they went. And the people here got wind of this, and they knew that the Burmese army was coming, so anything that they thought was valuable they took up there and hid it in the cave. So let's go and take a look and see if there's anything worth looking at. Maybe they left some treasure there. Well, I have to say that was all a bit disappointing. Unless I'm supposed to clamber up the rocks here. I don't plan on doing that. We do have a nice reclining Buddha over this side. But that seems to be about it. Plus a hole where maybe you can hide things. Well, I don't think you'd hide very much in there. So that's about it. Let's go back to boat. So that's about it for today. You've seen a whole temple, or two temples and a cave. So if I can just close by reminding you, please do subscribe, because that way you'll receive notifications. I know you know how to do it, just bash the button down there. And then Bert and I will see you again next week from somewhere completely different.